Start. I'm going to try and create this where it's at 0° angle and bends up 30. And that says 8 inches in length. Does that show up on your screen better? So yeah. This is flat on the 0° to the XY plane. This is an 8-inch length line. This line is on the XY plane. So I created a plane on the XY, and I created a bend at 30° angle. So we'll go try that out. I'm going to go create a plane, offset the XY at a value of 0. And I'm just going to move it over here. Come on. It's like, okay. Let's create a line in the X direction. I'll start a point 2 inches in Y, -2 in X, and then I'll go along the X direction, and I'll pick this plane as a support, so I know it's going to lie on that plane. And I'll go 8 inches, reverse the direction. I've got a line that's 8 inches long, correct? And on the Word doc, I didn't tell you this, but they're the same length. So I should have had a measurement saying that this was 1 or 2 inches, whatever that is, and it's still 1 or 2 inches, whatever it's at. Okay? So I'm going to go and create a segment surface on this guide curve using a reference surface. This guide curve and this plane is my reference surface. That's why I created it. If I say preview, it's going the wrong way. Select OK. Alright, so what I have right now is a surface that lies flat to the XY plane. Would you all agree with me?
Yeah.
As of right now, I haven't done anything you couldn't have done. Right? This is just a simple segment law. The angle law says, hey, I want this to be flat. 0 from that plane to here. But by the time it gets here, I want it at 30° up. I'll double click the surface and change the angle to 30 and hit preview. It's going to go 30° off of this reference surface. That's why I created that reference surface. Do you see how it's 30° over here? Okay, and let's make it 2 inches long. Let's see what it looks like. Maybe that's a little too long. We'll go 1.5 inches. Just want it to be obvious. I think what I did use in the thing, just by looking at the picture, must have been 1 inch. So I'm 30 here and 30 here, but I want to be 0 here, correct? So if I say okay, that's a 30° peel, 30° angle. It's not what I'm looking for. I want that side perfectly flat. I'll double click on this. I'll change it back to 0. And now I'm 0 here, but I'm still 0 here. I got to get that end to peel up 30 and leave this end at 0. That's where we insert a law. So I can pick the law. I'll use the linear type. You'll notice the end value is grayed out. It won't let me edit until I pick a different type of law other than a constant law. So I no longer want a constant angle. I want it to peel from 0 to 30. I just add a 3 here and close that off. And I never know what it's going to do. It seems like it's always going to do something weird. Like, why? Why did it flip way over? It went 30 degrees from 180, right? And this end got left at 0. Thing drives me crazy dealing with this. So, I don't know. I'll just go to law and hit inverse law and see what happens. For some reason, it's going this direction. It's like it's starting with that original arrow on this side. And I don't have the arrow to invert it now. So it's defaulting that at 0. Remember the first one was this way and I inverted it? But as soon as I apply this angle law, all of a sudden it goes back to the first one it created. So this 0 needs to rotate 180 degrees. Agreed? So here's what I would do. I would just go 90 to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go to law, and I'm going to change the start value from 0 to 90. I'm expecting it to go straight up. If I hit close and hit preview, why did it go straight down? Why didn't it go straight up? How are circles created on CATIA? All circles are created counterclockwise. If you were to have a protractor, 0 degrees would represent what part of the clock? What position would 0 degrees be in on a clock? Anyone?
12.
12 o'clock.
No, it'd be at 3 o'clock position. 0 degrees on a protractor is at 3 o'clock. And then when it goes straight up to 90, that's when it hits 12. 0 to 90 is from 3 to 12. 90 to 180 goes from 12 to 9 o'clock. 270 goes from 9 to 6. 360 goes from 6 to 3 o'clock. Counterclockwise, right? That's why when it went from this plane, it went down 90 degrees. So I could go to law and type in a negative 90. Preview that. See how it goes straight up? Well, if this is at negative 90 and it goes straight up, shouldn't this have gone over too? Why is this still down at 30?
Defined by the second
Right.
angle in the law.
Right. It doesn't care that it's not going to go 90 plus 30 or whatever. It doesn't care. 0 is still here pointing in the negative y direction. That's 0 for it. Okay. So does anybody know what I would key in to get this to wrap all the way back around to be 30 in this direction?
Negative 150.
Right. Let's go to 0 and I'll hit close and you'll see when I hit preview, see it'll go flat. That's the 0, just like 0 over here, right? Remember when I had this first one, I had that first one at 0. Now they're both at a 0 degree angle. Oh, it doesn't like that for a law. Okay, so I'm going to put the start back to negative 90. Preview that. Okay, so this is negative 90 and this is at 0 right now. I need to wrap this all the way around 180 minus 30. Okay, so if I go to law and I change the end value to 180 minus 30, it's going to calculate 150 for me. Oh, shoot. If I do that, it's going to do that the other direction. See how it went from there and it went all the way to 180 minus 30. So it's at the 200 and 360 minus 30. So it'd be at 330 degrees. I really want to wrap clockwise. So if you want to go clockwise, you got to go in the negative direction. So I go back to the angle law. I just need that to say negative 150. Okay, now I know that negative 150 leaves me with 30 degrees. And then that negative 90 needs to change to negative 180. Now this is lying flat on that line, and this line here to this plane is at a 30-degree angle. I'll select OK. When I go to view, no, tools, measure between, I measure this line to this plane, and it tells me minimum distance is 0. When I customize that, if there were an angle, it's telling me it's at a 0-degree angle. Okay? That line is on that plane, therefore I have a 0-degree angle. Everyone agree with that so far? Does that make sense?
Yep.
And we do a measure between, and I grab this edge over here, and I grab this plane, and it gives me a 30-degree angle. So that's from here to that line. Now, one of the things I don't really care for is it's kind of hard to tell it's going from that plane to that line. So what I did on my example is I went to wireframe, I went to line, and I selected that point. Direction will be the Y direction. I'll just go 1 inch. Then when I go to view, tools, measure item, measure that line I just created to that boundary edge, I get a 30-degree angle, and it's easier for me to tell that that's coming from that plane to this line up here at a 30-degree angle. Select OK. And that is how I created an angle law using the linear type. If I go to law, what would be different from this versus the S type? Can you guys see a difference?
The tangent curve.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. So what I do is I put one right on top of the other. So I'll just make a whole new sweep. I'll repeat the steps. We're used with reference surface again, and I'm going to use that same line as my guide curve and this same plane as my reference surface. I'll go to law, start value minus 180, and go to linear and change this one to the end value minus 150 and preview that. Oh, look, it did it backwards on me. Isn't that special? Let's go to law. Wrong one. Angle law. Change this one to 150. Change this one to 180. Close out. Preview. Select OK. Properties. Change the color. Let's do something different. We'll go with the salmon color. And you can kind of see you get a little bit different between one versus the other. I'm going to rename this. let's just sweep line dot linear, and then rename this one sweep line dot s type. So now I know that there's two different types. Again, if I click on this one here, I'll pick the law, and I would take a picture of this showing me that you have an S type. And then click on this one, click the law to show me that you have a linear type. All right, the next demo will be the advanced surface, which is the most confusing of them all. And I'll try and explain that. The key is 1 inch equals 1 angle. Or 1 centimeter, sorry, 1 inch equals 1 degree, or 1 centimeter equals 1 degree. That's how to do the advanced type law. All right, I'm going to end the video there and let you guys go try this out, and then you can try out the other one before I get to it.